The Redmi Note 12. One look at the spec sheet and you might as well give him the crown. Then we have the Galaxy A14. Look, it's a Samsung phone. So which should you buy? Let's find out. I got the base model of the Redmi Note 12 with 4GB of RAM and 128GB of storage for about 117,000, while the Galaxy A14 cost me 116,900 naira for 4GB of RAM and 64GB of storage. And for 128GB of storage to match the Note 12, it will cost you 126,900. So the Note 12 is either the same price as the A14 but twice the amount of storage, or it's just cheaper than the A14. Either way, the Note 12 has the advantage, but that's not even all. Even though the Note 12 is cheaper, there were no sacrifices made in terms of the box contents. Unlike Samsung with the A14, Redmi definitely has the advantage. Calling a winner for this category is hard because beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, right? Like everyone's beautiful in their own way. You are beautiful, no matter what they say. Love can't bring you down. They both have matte finishes. The A14 has a bit of texture to it. It also low-key resembles the S23, so it's recognizable as a Samsung phone. And I think that's the appeal. The Note 12 on the other hand looks kinda generic. Samsung wins this round. Both phones have a plastic back with glass on the front. The A14 is thicker and heavier at 201 grams compared to 188 grams. In terms of level of comfort, both phones do a good job. The A14 isn't too heavy and the Note 12 isn't too thin. They also both have fingerprint sensors on the power button. When compared, the Note 12 is faster. We've also got two mics on both phones, also a dual 4G SIM/SD card tray, a Type-C port at the bottom, and next to that the single downward firing speakers on both phones. And they're also both decently loud, but the Redmi sounds louder. The Redmi also has an IP53 dust and splash resistant rating, but the A14 doesn't. And my personal favorite, the IR blaster, which I legit use to control my TV. Well, my dad's TV. If it wasn't obvious already, the Redmi Note 12 wins this round. On the Redmi, we have a 1080p 120Hz AMOLED display. On the A14, a 1080p 60Hz PLS LCD display. Looks like an easy win to me, and it is. The Redmi is smoother, like way smoother, and also more color accurate. The A14 has a bit of a blue tint to it, and because the Redmi has an AMOLED display, it handles blacks better, colors pop, the screen is brighter. The Redmi also has Gorilla Glass 3 protection on the screen. It's simply just better. I'm just wondering how Redmi was able to fit all of this on a budget phone and Samsung couldn't. Oh, and the notch and bezels are ridiculous on the A14 when put side by side with the Note 12. Redmi is running away with it. Okay, this is where Samsung pulls one back. The A14 comes with Android 13 and One UI Core version 5.1 and should be getting 2 years of major Android updates. The Redmi actually matches that. It's also on Android 13 and should get 2 years of major Android updates. So why does Samsung win? Primarily because of One UI. It is known to be more stable. Okay, let's say you go out to buy a car. Now, the dealer tells you there are two options. You can either go with a 2022 Toyota Camry or a slightly more expensive Mercedes from like 2015. The dealer also tells you that if you go with a Camry, it would last you for years without having to do any major repairs. But if you go with the Mercedes, it would probably break down every 3 months. You see, most people would go with the stable option, the Camry. So because Redmi doesn't have that great a reputation with stability, I would side with One UI. I also like how One UI looks, particularly because of Material U and the wallpaper theming, which we don't get on the Redmi. The A14 isn't perfect though, as this doesn't even have a native screen recorder. I had to download an app for that. There's also no smart view, so you can't easily mirror your screen to your Samsung TV, which is another feature I use a lot. But I think stability and that peace of mind makes the A14 the winner here. For this region, Samsung stuck with the same Exynos 850 processor from last year. And yes, I actually feel like they improved it, because I noticed the UI and animations are more fluid. But still, the Exynos 850 can't really be compared to the Redmi Snapdragon 685, according to benchmarks and real-world use. They both have 4GB of RAM as the base model, but you can go up to 8GB on the Note 12, but you're stuck with 4GB on the A14. Multitasking, gaming, anything performance related, the Redmi beats the Samsung. That's not to say like performance is great on the Redmi, because it's not. It's still a budget phone, so there are hiccups, lags here and there sometimes, but it's definitely better than the A14. The gap widens. They both have a triple camera setup, a main, ultra-wide and macro sensor. And going into this, I actually felt Samsung was going to win this, because when I tested the A14, I was really impressed with the cameras. But after pitting the two together, I thought differently. They both take really good pictures on their own, and you'd be really satisfied with both of them, but the Note 12 definitely takes better pictures. It's more color accurate, more detailed. I don't know who let Redmi cook, but they definitely did cook. And they even take the win with video as well. There's no stabilization on the A14, but there is some kind of software stabilization on the Redmi, and you can definitely tell. They both look good, but I think everyone is going to pick the Redmi over the Samsung. Redmi is really running away with it. They both have a 5000 mAh battery, which honestly should last the same on both, which is about a full day of light to medium use. So a tie, right? No, because Redmi not only gives you a charger in the box, it's also a 33 watt charger, which can't be compared to the 15 watts the A14 supports, which by the way is sold separately. The Redmi wins this round. So we end up with 6 points to 2 points. That's a really wide gap. And that should mean no one should buy the A14 over this. But I wouldn't say that exactly. You see, some people prefer stability over anything. With the A14, it's more of a safe choice. You know what you're getting and you get what you're expecting. But with the Note 12, it's not so straightforward. So I would say the A14 is the safe choice, but the Note 12 is the better phone. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you when you see me.